My name is Noah. I am 24 and I live in a small apartment in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado. My place is on the second floor of an old brick building that smells like coffee in the morning and someone's cooking at night. The floors creak, the heater rattles in the winter, and my view is just a parking lot and a single crooked pine tree. It is not perfect, but it is mine. I work as a freelance illustrator and graphic designer. That sounds cooler than it feels most days. It is a lot of emails, small jobs for local businesses, fixing tiny things clients call urgent when they are not. I spend hours at my cheap desk with my laptop, a drawing tablet, and a half-empty mug of coffee. The work pays the rent and keeps me in ramen and frozen pizza. That is about it. Most days follow the same loop: work, walk, eat, scroll on my phone, try to sleep, repeat. I do not hate my life, but there is this strange, empty space in it I try not to think about. My last relationship ended a year ago. She said I was too quiet and too stuck in my head. Maybe she was right. I never argued. My best friend since middle school is Tyler. He is the loud one, the funny one, the guy who made every teacher in school roll their eyes and every girl laugh. We grew up on the same street. We biked to the gas station for candy, played basketball until dark, and stayed up late on weekends playing games in his basement. Tyler lives downtown now, in some modern apartment his tech job pays for. He still comes back every few weekends to see his mom, and when he does, he usually texts me to hang out. His childhood house is still there, at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. White siding, dark shutters, a wide front yard, and a fence that always needed one more coat of paint. His mom, Claire, still lives there. Claire is 42. When we were kids, she was just Mrs. Hayes, the mom who baked cookies and yelled at us to wipe our feet before we came in. She had this big laugh that filled the whole kitchen when Tyler told some stupid joke. Back then, she was just the mom. Then, life happened. Her husband, Tyler's dad, walked out a few years ago. Divorce. New state. New family. I remember the day Tyler told me. He said it like it did not bother him, but his hands shook when he picked up his drink. After that, it was just Claire and Tyler in that house. Now Tyler is gone most of the time. Claire lives there alone. She gardens a lot these days. The front yard that used to be plain is now full of roses, wildflowers, and neat rows of herbs. Whenever I walk past on my way to the store, I see her outside in her jeans and old t-shirt, hands in the dirt, hair tied up, a small smile on her face. She waves when she sees me and we trade quick words about work or how Tyler is doing. They are simple talks, but there is something in the way she looks at me. Like she is really listening. Like the quiet in my head is not a problem for her. I try not to think about her too much. She is my best friend's mom. That line is bright and clear in my mind. It has been there for years. One Saturday afternoon, the air was warm and heavy. The sky was a flat blue with a few thin clouds, and the street hummed with sprinklers and distant lawnmowers. I had been staring at my laptop for hours, trying to finish a logo for a gym that kept changing its mind. My eyes hurt, my brain felt slow, and my apartment felt too small. I shut my laptop, grabbed my keys, and decided to walk to the corner store to grab an energy drink and some snacks. The sidewalks in our neighborhood are cracked and lined with little weeds. Kids, chalk drawings faded near driveways. A dog barked behind a fence as I passed. Without planning it, my feet took me down Tyler's old street. His house came into view at the end. The garden out front was full and bright, colors spilling over the edges of the flower beds. The front door was closed. I did not see Claire on the porch, which was strange for a Saturday. She was usually out watering or trimming something by this time of day. I slowed as I reached the yard, telling myself I was just looking at the flowers. Then I heard it. A short, sharp sound from the side yard. Not a word, more like a choked cry. Then a low groan. Every part of me went tense. "Hello," I called, already moving toward the side of the house. My sneakers brushed against the grass as I followed the small stone path that led toward the backyard. I turned the corner and saw her. Claire was on the ground near one of the raised flower beds. A small hand rake lay in the dirt beside her. Her right leg was stretched out at a strange angle, and one of her knees was scraped, a thin line of blood running down her shin. Her sundress was bunched around her thighs, streaked with soil. Her hair had fallen out of its tie, strands sticking to her forehead. Her face was tight with pain. "Claire!" I dropped to a crouch beside her. "Are you okay?" She drew in a slow breath and tried to smile. "Noah," she said, "you scared me. I am fine." I just slipped on the edge of the bed. The ground is wet from the sprinkler. She tried to sit up straighter and winced, her hand flying to her ankle. The skin around it already looked a little swollen. "That does not look fine," I said, my voice coming out sharper than I meant. "Can you move it?" She shook her head, her jaw tight. "It hurts when I put weight on it," she said. "I am sure it is just a sprain." I am being dramatic. "You are not," I said. "Come on, let me help you inside." I slid one arm behind her back and one under her knees. For a second she stiffened. "Noah, you really do not have to carry me," she said, a little breathless. "I am heavier than I look." "It is okay," I said. "I got you." I lifted her slowly, careful not to jolt her ankle. She wrapped one arm around my neck and gripped my shoulder. Her body was warm against mine, and I could smell the mix of earth and the light citrus soap she always used. My heart pounded in my chest, too fast for how little weight I was actually carrying. I told myself it was just worry. We moved through the side door into the kitchen. The room looked the same as it had when I was 16. Same white cabinets, same small wooden table by the window, same fridge covered in old magnets and faded pictures. The only difference now was the quiet. I sat her gently into one of the chairs. She kept her hand on my shoulder a second longer than needed, then let go. "Thank you," she said, a little breathless. "I am sorry you had to see that." Not my most graceful moment. I shook my head. "It happens," I said. "Do you have a first aid kit?" "Under the sink," she said. "Little white box. I can take care of it, really. You do not have to stay." I was already kneeling at the cabinet, pulling out the box. I grabbed a clean dish towel from the drawer and filled a bowl with cool water. "I am here now," I said. "Let me help." I set the bowl on the floor and knelt in front of her. Her injured leg was stretched out, the sundress pulled up enough to see the scrape on her knee and the swelling around her ankle. There was dirt on her skin and a small smear of blood. "Tell me if this hurts too much," I said. I dipped the towel in the water and gently dabbed at the scrape, cleaning away the dirt. She sucked in a breath through her teeth but did not pull back. "It is okay," she said softly. "Just stings a little." Her voice was close, warm above me. I could feel her eyes on me as I worked. My hands, usually steady when I drew, felt strangely aware of every touch now. "You always were a careful kid," she said after a moment. "Even when you and Tyler were breaking half the stuff in this house, you were the one who tried to fix it." I laughed under my breath, still focused on her leg. "Tyler did most of the breaking," I said. "I just picked up after him." "You still do," she said, showing up when he does not. Helping an old woman who should know better than to climb around a wet garden alone. I looked up at her then. "You are not old," I said, the words out before I could think about them. She blinked, surprised. Then she smiled, a small, real smile that reached her eyes. "Thank you," she said quietly. For a second, we just looked at each other. The hum of the fridge filled the space between us. Light from the window behind her caught small bits of dust in the air. I wrapped the bandage around her knee and then very gently around her ankle, trying not to notice the shape of her calf under my fingers. When I was done, I sat back on my heels. "There," I said. "It should help. You should keep it up and stay off it for a while." "Yes, doctor," she said, amusement in her voice. I stood up, needing to move, and carried the bowl back to the sink. "You live close, right?" she asked. "A few blocks," I said. "Off Maple." "Do you mind checking on me tomorrow?" she asked, her eyes soft. "Just to make sure this thing is not turning purple and falling off my body." Her joke was light, but there was something else under it, a hint of loneliness. of someone who did not like the idea of being stuck in a quiet house alone with a hurt leg. "Yeah," I said. "I can do that." She smiled again, and it landed somewhere deep in my chest. As I walked home later, the sky starting to shift toward evening, I tried to tell myself it was nothing. I just helped my best friend's mom after she fell. Anyone would have. But her hand on my shoulder, the way she said my name, the way her eyes had lingered on mine, stayed with me. Helping her should have been simple. It did not feel simple at all. I told myself I was only going back to make sure her ankle was okay. The next afternoon was warm again, but with a light breeze that moved the tree branches and carried the smell of fresh-cut grass. I had spent most of the morning pretending to work, staring at designs that all looked the same. Every time I tried to focus, my mind kept going back to Claire sitting at her kitchen table, trying to act like she was not in pain. By 3 o'clock, I gave up on pretending. I grabbed a small grocery bag with some sports wrap, a better ice pack, and a box of cookies I picked up from the corner store. It felt less weird to show up with something. The walk to her house felt different this time, familiar but charged. I knew I was doing a simple, normal thing, just checking on someone who was hurt. Still, my chest felt tight when I turned onto Tyler's old street. Her front door was open, the screen door closed. I could hear faint music playing inside, something soft from the radio. I knocked lightly on the frame. "Claire, it is Noah." Her voice came from the living room. "Come in, it is open." I stepped into the house. The air inside was cooler than outside, and it smelled faintly like lemon cleaner and something baking. I found her on the couch, her leg propped up on a pillow, a light blanket over her lap. Her hair was pulled back loosely, and she wore a simple gray t-shirt and soft shorts. When she saw me, her eyes brightened. "You came," she said. "I was starting to think you forgot about the patient." "Hard to forget," I said, lifting the bag. "I brought supplies and cookies for medical reasons." She laughed, and the sound relaxed something in me. "Sit," she said, nodding toward the armchair across from her. "Tell me if my leg looks like it is about to fall off." I sat down and set the bag on the coffee table. Her ankle was still wrapped in the bandage I had done, a little loose at the edges. "How bad does it hurt today?" I asked. "Less than yesterday," she said. "Still no dancing, but I can hobble to the kitchen if I hold onto the furniture like a little old lady." I smiled. "Let me re-wrap it," I said. "I brought better wrap. Might help." Quote. She shifted a bit, lowering her leg so I could reach. I moved to sit on the edge of the coffee table, facing her, and gently started to undo the old bandage. Her skin was warm under my fingers. The swelling had gone down a bit, but there was still a faint bruise forming. "Any sharp pain?" I asked. "Only when I forget I am injured and try to move like I am 25, she said. "That reminds me real quick." I smiled, focused on my hands. I pressed around the joint to check, trying to be as gentle as I could. "You really know what you are doing," she said. "Where did you learn all this?" "Internet," I said, "and a few twisted ankles from playing basketball when I was younger." "Oh, right," she said. "You and Tyler used to come home limping at least once a month. I remember that. There was always some epic game involved." "We took it very seriously," I said. She laughed again, then watched me as I wrapped the new bandage around her ankle, snug, but not too tight. As I worked, I felt her gaze on my face. I tried not to think about it. When I finished, I sat back. "That should feel a little more supported," I said. "Keep it up when you can." "Yes, doctor," she said again, then nodded at the bag. "What else did you bring?" I pulled out the ice pack and the cookies. "Cold pack," I said, "and chocolate chip for pain management." Her eyes softened. "You did not have to bring all this," she said, "but I am glad you did. Thank you, Noah." "It is nothing," I said, but it did not feel like nothing. It felt like more than I wanted to admit. "Will you stay for a bit?" she asked. "My book is boring and daytime TV is worse." Her voice was light, but there was an honest request under it. The house around us felt too big for one person on a couch with a hurt leg. "Yeah," I said, "I can stay." She smiled, a small relieved smile, and something in my chest answered it. We spent the next hour just talking. I stayed in the armchair, leaning back, legs stretched toward the coffee table. She stayed on the couch, her leg up. The radio in the kitchen played soft songs under our voices. She asked about my work, and I told her more than I expected. I told her about clients who asked for 10 changes on one logo, about nights where I stared at blank screens and wondered if I was any good at all. I told her about my fear of ending up stuck, doing the same thing forever, without ever really getting anywhere. She listened without rushing me, without throwing quick answers at my worries. "You are doing more than most," she said. "You are trying. You are building something that is yours. That is brave, even if it does not always feel like it." "Does it feel like that for you?" I asked. Brave, being here, alone, starting again. She looked at the ceiling for a moment, thinking. "Sometimes," she said. "Most days, it just feels like putting one foot in front of the other. When your husband leaves, and your son grows up and leaves too, you have two choices: shut down or figure out how to keep moving." The garden helped. Quiet helped. "But you know," she paused, her eyes moving back to mine, "sometimes the quiet is too much." The words hung there. I knew about quiet. The quiet in my apartment. The quiet in my head. "I get that," I said. "My place is small, but it feels like a lot of empty space some nights." Her gaze softened. "That is why I like seeing you on this street," she said. "You remind me this place is still alive, not just holding memory." I did not know what to say to that. The way she said it wrapped around that empty part in me and squeezed. "So," I said, needing to lighten it, "you are saying I am good background noise." She smiled. "No," she said, "I am saying you are good company." The word company did something to me. We split the cookies. She insisted I take the bigger ones because you are still growing. And I rolled my eyes, but the casual care felt good. Too good. Later, when the light outside changed to a softer gold, she looked toward the kitchen. "I was going to cook tonight before I decided to go diving in the garden," she said. "But the ankle says no long standing. Would you stay for dinner if I throw together something simple? You can reach the high shelves I pretend I do not need help with." She said it like a joke, but I heard the hope in it. "I can help," I said, "but only if I get to be in charge of stirring things." "Deal," she said. I helped her to the kitchen, letting her use my arm for balance. We moved slowly, step by step, her body warm against my side. We made simple pasta and salad. She sat on a stool, giving instructions, while I moved around the kitchen, pulling plates from cabinets I used to raid for snacks. The whole time, it felt strangely natural, like we had done this before, even though we never had. At dinner, we ate at the small table by the window. The sun was low, casting light across her hair and the lines near her eyes when she smiled. We talked about Tyler. She told me how proud she was of him, how she missed the noise he used to bring into this house. "He says he is happy," she said, twirling her fork. "I want to believe it. I do. But sometimes I wish he would come home more." "He talks about you," I said. "He worries about you here alone." Her expression shifted, soft and sad at the same time. "That makes two of you," she said. For a second our eyes met and held. The air between us felt heavier. Not bad heavy, just full. After dinner, I did the dishes while she sat and watched, laughing at how serious I looked washing a pan. "You know you do not have to earn your keep, right?" she said. "Too late," I said. "I am invested now." When everything was clean, I helped her back to the couch. She moved slower, tired from the day. I checked her ankle one more time, my fingers gentle on the bandage. "Thank you for staying," she said. "It made today feel less small." "It did the same for me," I said. On my way to the door, I stopped in the hallway and looked back. She sat on the couch, the soft lamplight around her, blankets tucked around her legs. She looked calm, but her eyes were still on me. "Do you need anything else before I go?" I asked. "No," she said, shaking her head. "Just promise you will come by tomorrow, even if it is only for 5 minutes." She did not say please, but I heard it anyway. "I will," I said. Walking home under the dim streetlights, my phone buzzed. It was Tyler, a simple text. Heading home next weekend. You around? I stared at the screen, thinking of his house, his mom, the way today had felt. Yeah, I typed back, I will be around. I slipped my phone back in my pocket and kept walking, the image of Claire at the table and on the couch playing over in my mind. Helping her was no longer just a favor. Something was shifting, slow and quiet, like the way day turns into night when you are not watching the sky. Tyler came back to town the next weekend. The week in between moved slow and fast at the same time. Every afternoon I found a reason to stop by Claire's house. Sometimes I brought coffee. Sometimes I brought groceries. Sometimes I just brought myself. Her ankle got better each day, the swelling went down, the bruise changed colors. She could stand on it for a few minutes at a time if she held onto the counter. I kept telling myself that once she was healed, I would come by less, that things would go back to normal. They did not feel like they were heading that way. We settled into this quiet rhythm together. She would sit on the porch with her leg up. I would sit on the step below. We talked about small things and big things, her favorite movies, the first time I got paid for a drawing, the night she filed for divorce, the time my dad missed my school art show because of work. She listened like my words mattered. When she talked, I listened the same way. Nothing happened. Not really. A hand on my arm when she laughed. My shoulder brushing hers in the doorway. A few seconds too long when we said goodbye. Every time I left, I felt like I had stepped a little closer to something, and I did not know how to name it. On Friday, my phone buzzed while I was working. It was Tyler. Home. Mom making dinner, you better come through. My stomach tightened. On my way, I wrote back. The drive to their house felt different than the walks had. The sky was clear. The sun was low. My fingers tapped on the steering wheel at every red light. When I pulled up, there were two cars in the driveway. Tyler's dark sedan and Claire's old silver one. The front window glowed warm. I could see shapes moving inside. I stood on the porch for a second before knocking. My heart beat hard in my chest. The door swung open and Tyler pulled me into a quick, rough hug. "Dude," he said, "about time. You look like you have not seen the sun in weeks." "Freelancer life," I said. "You know how it is." He laughed and dragged me inside by the shoulder. The house felt different with him in it. Louder. Brighter. A sports show played on the TV in the living room. His duffel bag sat by the stairs. The air smelled like roasted chicken and herbs. Claire stood at the kitchen counter, cutting vegetables. Her hair was down, brushing her shoulders. She wore a soft blue blouse and jeans. When she saw me, her face lit up in a small, quiet way. "Noah," she said. "Good timing. Dinner is almost ready." "Hey," I said. "Smells amazing." We shared a look that lasted half a second too long. Tyler did not see it. He was already opening a cabinet, talking about his job and some joke from his office. We all moved around the kitchen like nothing had changed. Like the last week had just been small talk and bandages. I helped carry plates to the table. Claire's ankle seemed steady. She moved slow, but she did not lean on anything. At dinner, the three of us sat at the same table where Tyler and I had scarfed down pizza as teenagers. The food was simple: chicken, potatoes, salad. It tasted better than most things I had eaten in months. Tyler did most of the talking. He told stories about his coworkers, about some team lead who was obsessed with CrossFit, about the weird snacks in the office kitchen. Claire watched him with that soft mother look I had seen 100 times. Pride and worry mixed together. "You look tired," she said at one point. "Are they working you that hard?" "It is a good tired," he said. "I like it. It is just a lot sometimes." He glanced at me. "At least I am not chained to a desk in my living room all day like this guy." "Hey," I said. "My desk is by a window now. That is progress." They both laughed. For a moment, it really did feel normal. But under the table, I was too aware of the way Claire sat across from me, the way her knee almost brushed mine when she shifted, the way her eyes found mine and slipped away when Tyler said something funny. After dinner, Tyler put on a game in the living room. He dropped onto the couch and waved at us. "Come on," he said. "Old times. You two can argue about commercials like you used to." "I do not argue," Claire said, rolling her eyes. "I correct." She moved to sit on the other end of the couch. I took the chair. The game played on the screen, bright and loud. Tyler yelled at missed shots. Claire made small comments about the uniforms. I tried to focus on the players, but my eyes kept drifting. Once, during a commercial, I glanced over and found her already looking at me. She gave me a small smile. It was quick and private. I felt it all the way through. Tyler turned his head then, and I looked back at the TV too fast. My face felt hot. "You good, man?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired. Been a long week." He nodded and turned back to the game. Later, when the score got boring, Tyler stood up and stretched. "I am going to take a shower," he said. "I smell like highway and gas station coffee. You guys try not to start a fight while I'm gone." He headed upstairs, his footsteps heavy on the steps. A door clicked shut. The sound of water came a minute later. The house got quiet fast. Claire muted the TV. The light from the screen washed over the room. I could hear the hum of the fridge in the kitchen and the faint rush of water pipes in the walls. She turned on the couch to face me, tucking her leg under her. "Thank you for what you said at dinner," she said. I frowned. "About what?" "About him worrying about me," she said. "You did not have to say that." "It was true," I said. "He talks about you. He just has a bad way of showing feelings." Her mouth curved. "He gets that from his father," she said. "It skips generations." We both smiled. Then the smile faded from her face. She looked down at her hands. "I am glad you were here this week," she said. "I do not know what I would have done without help." "You would have managed," I said. "You always do." Her eyes lifted to mine. "Maybe," she said, "but it would have been lonelier." Quote. The way she said that word hit something inside me. I stood up, needing to move, and walked to the window. Outside, the street was dark. A porch light glowed across the way. The garden in the front yard was just shapes now. I was lonely too, I said quietly, before I started coming around. When I turned back, she was watching me. The soft light from the lamp on the side table made her face look softer, younger somehow. I could see the tired lines near her eyes, but they did not dull her. She pushed herself to stand and moved toward me, slow and careful. When she reached me, she kept a small distance, like there was an invisible line on the carpet. "Noah," she said, "we should talk." My chest tightened. "About what?" I asked, though I knew. "About this," she said, her hand making a small motion between us. "About you and me. About how it feels when you walk in the door now. About how I look forward to it more than I should." Her honesty stunned me. For a second I could not speak. "I feel it too," I finally said. "All of it." Quote. She took a small breath, as if she had been waiting for those words. "I do not know when it happened," she said. "One day you were just Tyler's quiet friend with a sketchbook. Then you were the man, carrying me into my own kitchen, wrapping my ankle, washing dishes, listening to me. And I thought, when did this change?" I swallowed. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. "I have been asking myself the same thing," I said. "When did I start thinking about seeing you more than anyone else? When did this house stop feeling like his and start feeling like yours? Like somewhere I wanted to be?" Her eyes shone a little, like she was holding back more than just words. "This is wrong," she said softly. "You know that." "I know," I said. "You are his mom. He is my best friend. On paper, this is all wrong." We stood there in the half-dark, the TV screen throwing colors across the room. The sound of water from upstairs faded. The pipes went quiet. I could hear footsteps again, soft and distant. "But it does not feel wrong when it is just us," I said. "It feels like the first real thing in my life in a long time." Her hand lifted, almost like she did not mean to. For a second, it hovered in the air between us. Then it settled lightly on my chest, right over where my heart hammered. I did not move. "You make this house feel full again," she said. I had forgotten what that felt like. We were close, closer than we should have been, her hand on my chest, my hand lifting, almost on its own, to rest at her waist. The fabric of her blouse was soft under my fingers. Her breath brushed my neck. "We should stop," she whispered. "I know," I said. Neither of us stepped back. Her eyes searched mine. There was fear there, and hope, and something I did not have the right word for. The footsteps upstairs moved toward the top of the stairs. Claire heard it too. I felt her hand tense against my chest. "Tomorrow," she said quickly, her voice low. "Come by tomorrow. When he is out, we will talk then. We will decide what to do." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. She took a small step back, putting space between us, just as Tyler started down the stairs. I dropped my hand to my side. She sank back onto the couch. I moved to the chair, forcing my body to relax. Tyler walked into the room, hair damp, fresh t-shirt on, totally unaware of the storm that had just passed through the room. "What did I miss?" he asked, grabbing the remote. "Nothing," I said, my voice almost steady. "Just talking." He turned the volume up. The game filled the air with whistles and cheers. I watched the screen, but I did not see anything. All I could feel was the ghost of her hand on my chest. And the weight of the word tomorrow. I did not sleep much that night. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the low hum of the fridge and the distant sound of a car now and then. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the living room again, Claire's hand on my chest, the look in her eyes, the word tomorrow. Part of me wanted to run from it, to pretend this was a strange dream, to go back to being just the quiet friend who stopped by sometimes. Another part of me wanted to run toward it, toward her, like I had been walking half awake for years and had finally found something that felt real. Morning came too fast. I made coffee, stared at my sketchbook without drawing anything, and checked my phone on repeat. Around 11, Tyler texted me, heading into town for a few hours. "Lunch with the guys. You free later?" "Yeah," I typed. "Just tell me when you are back." I set the phone down and watched the little screen stay still. No new messages. My heart pounded against my ribs. A little after noon, I stood up, grabbed my keys, and left my apartment. The sky was bright. Kids' voices carried from a park nearby. Sprinklers clicked and hissed on front lawns as I walked. When I turned onto Tyler's street, Claire's house came into view. His car was gone. Her silver car sat in the driveway. The front curtains were open, sunlight spilling across the living room. I wiped my hands on my jeans and walked up to the porch. My knuckles felt clumsy on the door when I knocked. She opened it, almost right away. Claire wore a soft white t-shirt and faded jeans, no shoes. Her hair was down, brushing her shoulders, a few strands tucked behind one ear. She looked like she had not slept much either, but when she saw me, her shoulders dropped a little, like she had been holding her breath. "Hey," she said. "Hey," I said. For a second, we just stood there, the doorway between us. Then she stepped back. "Come in," she said. "Tyler is gone until late afternoon. We have time." The way she said it made my chest tighten. Inside, the house felt softer than it had last night. No TV, no noise from upstairs. Just the quiet tick of a clock on the wall and the faint smell of coffee. She walked to the kitchen and poured me a cup without asking. She remembered how I took it. 2 sugars, a little cream. I watched her hands move, steady but not relaxed. We sat at the small table by the window. 2 mugs. 2 people. A lot of unsaid things between us. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she took a breath. "I have been thinking all night," she said. "About you, about Tyler, about the lines we are close to crossing." "Same," I said. I did not think about anything else. She looked at her hands wrapped around the mug, then up at me. "Noah," she said, "what is this to you, really? I need to hear it in your words." I felt my throat tighten. I had never been good at saying what I felt. It always sounded wrong when I tried, but this time I did not want to hide. "I do not know what to call it," I said slowly. "I just know that when I am here, I feel like I am where I am supposed to be. When I am with you, I do not feel like background in my own life anymore. I feel seen and needed and awake. I swallowed and kept going. I like you, I said. Not as Tyler's mom, not as the lady at the end of the block. I like you, as Claire. I think about you when I wake up and when I go to sleep. I want to be around you. That is what this is to me. Her eyes grew shiny, but she did not look away. Thank you, she said, her voice low, for saying it out loud. She took a shaky breath. I feel the same, she said. I tried to pretend I did not. I tried to tell myself it was just gratitude, or loneliness, or some phase one would laugh at later. But when you walk up that path, this house feels different. I feel different. You make me feel young and steady at the same time, safe and excited. I did not think I could have that again. The words hit me like a wave, warm and heavy. But, she added, and that word was sharp, we cannot ignore Tyler. He is my son. He is your friend. This is not just about us on some island. I know, I said. That is the part one I'm scared of. I do not want to hurt him. She nodded. Me either, she said. I spent years trying to keep him from falling apart when his father left. I cannot be the reason he feels betrayed. We sat there in the quiet, each of us holding our own fear. So what do we do? I asked finally. She looked out the window for a moment, watching a car drive past, then turned back to me. We do not lie, she said. Not to ourselves, not to each other. This is real. We admit that. But we also do not rush into anything that blows up his life. He deserves our patience. Maybe one day when things are steady, when we are sure, we talk to him together, carefully. And until then, I asked. Until then, she said, we go slow. We are careful. We see each other when we can, without sneaking like teenagers. But we do not flaunt it in front of him. We protect him, and we protect this. Or we walk away now before it gets any deeper. The last part made my stomach twist. Do you want to walk away? I asked. Her answer came fast. No, she said. I do not. A rush of relief went through me so strong I had to let out a breath. Then I do not either, I said. A small smile appeared on her face. It was soft and a little sad, but it was real. We are choosing something hard, she said. You know that, right? I have not chosen much of anything for a long time, I said. I want to choose this. She reached across the table, slow and sure, and set her hand on mine. Her fingers slid between my fingers like they had always belonged there. My heart pounded, but it felt right. We will figure it out, she said. It will not be simple. There will be days when we question everything. There will be days when we feel selfish. But we will talk. We will not hide from each other. That is the only way this works. I can do that, I said. I want to do that. We sat there holding hands, the light from the window laying across the table. For the first time since this started, it did not feel like we were standing on the edge of a cliff. It felt like we were building something careful and fragile, plank by plank. After a while, we moved to the living room. The couch looked different in the daytime, less dramatic, more like what it was, a place to sit. She sat at one end. I sat close, but not too close. The TV stayed off. We talked about normal things for a while. Groceries, bills, my next project, the appointment she had for her ankle if it did not keep improving. But under all of it was this new truth, open and steady. At one point, she shifted closer. Our shoulders touched. She looked at me with that same searching look from last night, only this time there was less fear. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything, I said. Are you sure you are not going to wake up one morning and realize this is too messy? She asked. That being with a woman my age, your best friend's mom, is too heavy. I thought about the quiet of my apartment, about all the nights I had moved from my chair to my bed and back again feeling like I was just filling time. I thought about her smile when she opened the door, her hand on my chest, the way this house felt full when I walked in. I am sure I would regret walking away more, I said. I do not know how the future looks, but I know how I feel right now. And I know I would rather deal with messy and real than go back to safe and empty. She let out a breath that sounded like a laugh and a sigh at the same time. "Okay," she said, "then come here." She turned toward me. I shifted to face her. For a second, we just looked at each other. Then she leaned in, slow, giving me time to change my mind. I did not. I met her halfway. The kiss was soft, careful, not rushed like something stolen. It felt like an answer to all the questions we had not known how to ask. Her hand came up to rest on my jaw. Mine settled at her waist, feeling the gentle rise and fall of her breath. There was no door slamming this time. No footsteps on the stairs. Just the quiet of a house that had seen us grow up and was now watching something new begin. When we pulled back, our foreheads rested together. She smiled, a real full smile that reached her eyes. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi," I said. We stayed like that for a while, the day moving on outside the windows. At some point, we shifted so she was leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, our hands intertwined on her lap. We did not need to fill the silence with talk. The quiet felt different now. Not empty. Shared. Eventually, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Tyler. "Still out. Might crash at a friend's. See you tomorrow, man." I showed her the screen. She nodded, reading the words. "He will find out someday," she said. "We cannot hide forever." "I know," I said. "When he does, we tell him the truth. That this did not start as some game, that it started with a fall in the garden and two people who were lonely trying to help each other up." She looked at me then, her eyes clear. "That is what it was," she said. "You helped me up." "You did the same for me," I said. Later, when I walked home with the sun dipping behind the roofs, the street looked the same as it always had. Houses, mailboxes, trees, kids, bikes on the grass. But I felt different. I was still a freelance illustrator with a creaky floor apartment and a crooked pine tree outside my window. I still had deadlines and bills, and a best friend who had no idea his mom had changed my life. But there was something new now, a quiet thread between my place and hers. A promise to move slowly, to be honest, to face the hard parts instead of running from them. Helping her in the garden had been a small moment. Mud, blood, a bad ankle. It should have ended there. Instead, it had pulled both of us out of the lives we were just drifting through and into something that scared us and warmed us in equal measure. I did not know how it would all play out. I did not know how many fights or tears waited in front of us. I did not know when or how we would tell Tyler. But as I reached my building and pulled out my phone to see a new message from Claire, a simple line that said, "Thank you for today," I knew one thing for sure. My best friend's mom was not just part of my past anymore, she was part of my story. And helping her up that day in her garden had changed everything in a way I would never want to undo.